From Los Angeles, California, former All-American, Lee Jouglard. From Buffalo, New York, Jimmy Schroeder. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again here at the beautiful Emerson Lanes in the industrial city of Parkersburg, West Virginia, here in the heart of the Ohio Valley. It's Championship Bowling, television's #1 bowling show. The world's greatest bowlers in action every week, over $75,000 in prizes. This is Fred Wolf, two more of our field of 24 of these great stars in a three-game match. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up. All competition is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. 300 games are worth $10,000. And on top of all that, a $250 bonus for 5 strikes in a row in any one game. $50 more for every strike on top of those 5. Should be an interesting match. Lee Jouglard from Los Angeles, California. Jimmy Schroeder from Buffalo, New York. We'll be ready for the first of 3 games in just a short moment. Lee Jouglard from Los Angeles, California, won the toss, elected to start on the left side. He will finish on the right side in the first and third games. Very short approach, one of the few 3-steppers in the business. Jouglard throws, he's there, leaves the 10-pin. Little on the soft side. Working with us this week, Earl Johnson, the Minneapolis star. And Earl, we're going to see quite a comparison in styles here with Jouglard, the 3-stepper, and the more of the line type of bowler, Schroeder, a great swinger.
That's right. Lee is playing way inside on this pair. A lot farther than I've ever seen him. Yeah.
It'll be an interesting encounter here. 3 games, total pins will decide the winner. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up. Both of these boys will be making another appearance, meeting a different opponent. The top score, top total for the 6 games will qualify our 2 finalists with a $15,000 added purse. Here's Jimmy Schroeder, Buffalo, New York. Boy, what a swinger he is. 10-pin, that's 6-pin, just missed the 10, and it still lies in the channel. Jimmy was born in Buffalo in 1928. Moved to St. Louis in 58, to Detroit in 59, and back to Buffalo, his hometown, in 1962. Cross lane, 10-pin. Jouglard converted the 10-pin in the first frame. Schroeder covers. So we move to the left. All competition moving actually from right to left with the exception of the first frame. That man bowling the first frame on the left side or the odd lane. Then his opponent moves in from right to left. All competition moving from right to left throughout the game. Jimmy Schroeder, for 6 games on championship bowling, has a .218 average. He has never been under 200. His high series, 671. His high single, 248. Hurry up. He doesn't get there. The 1-2-10 called the washout. And we officially can't call that a split. I personally feel that this is a lot tougher than some of the splits. Right there, he got it out of the channel. Well, they cut that head pin very thin, but he got a kick off the kickback into the channel and back up over the 10-pin spot, and Schroeder has a pretty tough spare tucked away, and I'm sure he's very happy with that. Jouglard up short, 3 steps. Lee is averaging .219 for 6 games on championship bowling. Look out. On the Brooklyn, gets the wiggle, leaves the 6th pin. And the AMF automatic pin spotter will put that pin right back off spot. It is slightly off spot to the right. The AMF pin spotter lets you bowl at a livelier pace. Cross lane, very easy shot for these boys. Jouglard covers. And moves to the left. Very interesting thing on your birthday. Many times a person can do a lot of things, or sometimes if you're playing somebody a game of golf or possibly bowling, when they get a couple of lucky ones, you'll hear the phrase, "What is this, your birthday?" Well, here's a fella on his 35th birthday in 1956, shot a 300 game on television. Too high, wide open, 6-7. Here's a pretty tough shot. Jouglard is the senior member of the fine AMF staff of champions. Is a bowling proprietor on the West Coast. 2 establishments, the Citrus Belt Lanes and the Apple Bowl. You folks out California way, I'm sure, are well acquainted with this young fella. The 6-7 gets the 6. He is open, the first open of the match. And Jimmy Schroeder from Buffalo now, in his turn on the lanes, can get himself out in front with a couple of strikes. He can have a very good start, some 20 pins if he can cash with a couple. Very deep inside angle, Schroeder showing us here this week. Over the 3rd diamond. He doesn't get there, the 2-5. Didn't have much swing on that one, did he, Earl?
He's not getting the fingers into the ball. He's not getting the lift. The ball's just squirting off his hand, and that way it sails too long. Never does take the break.
Well, Jimmy doesn't throw the fingertip. He has what he calls a semi-span. Getting into the ball a little deeper with his fingers. There's the cover. Very nice shot. But even not using the fingertip, this boy can swing them with the best of them. The boys that use the very wide span, Jimmy has a way of getting out that moves that ball in a hurry. Jimmy was the Buffalo match game champion back in the late 50s. Here he comes. There it is. So Schroeder finally getting in that pocket the way he wants to be. A strike in the 4th. Lee Jouglard moving in on the right side. Here's a fella in 1951 had just about the greatest year that a bowler could have. He was named the Bowler of the Year. He won a couple of ABC titles. He leaves the 10 pin. He shot a record total in the singles, the highest total ever shot in the American Bowling Congress tournament in the singles event, 775. And this stood as the high 3 right on through 1962 until Jack Winters of Philadelphia racked up a 792, but in the doubles event. There's the cover. Jouglard with a spare. So Lee will move to the left, looking for his first strike. I have a couple of boys from WTAP TV with us here this week on Championship Bowling in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Sherman Grimm and Tom Lawrence watching our cameras grind away. In the 5th, Jouglard sets one. A little tight, 4-7. Lee was born in Oxnard, California, very near Los Angeles. Came to Detroit in 1948 after winning the San Francisco match game title. When Lee just got out of the Navy, went back to Los Angeles in 1960. Hurry up, boy. Hurry up, boy. Well, a little careless there. Lee leaving the 4-7. We've pointed out here over the weeks that these lanes are reconditioned for every match. We use brand new AMF tournament grade pins, all registered sets and matched weights. These are real match game conditions. You can't get lazy on a spare, as Jouglard just did. because the ball is not going to hook by itself. You've got to work on it. A double. Schroeder was good. So at the end of 5 here in the first game of 3, Jouglard opened with 72, Schroeder 55, works on a double. Will it be 3? There's a big lift. Oh, man, he threw that one out there. And you could see that one from up here, couldn't you, Earl? He got that one out beautifully.
He must have heard me when I said he wasn't getting the fingers into the ball, because he's got strikes ever since then. Real good ones.
All right, he's 2 away from $250 in bonus money. Lee Jouglard trailing by over 30 pins in the first 5 frames. Leaves the 2-4-5. Maybe some of you folks can go back to 1950 when this fella was within 1 10-pin on his final ball in the 100th game before a nationwide television audience in the National All-Star Singles in Chicago, and he lost the title to Dick Hoover. Jouglard up short, a 3-stepper. Probably about the only pro bowler left in this department. He's too high, this time the 4-6. And Jouglard will be wide open again in the 7th. And we'll have to go back to the record book, Earl, because Harold Asplin, former Detroiter, Denver, Colorado, previous to that, and now out on the West Coast. Harold holds that record. The lowest game ever bowled on championship bowling back in the Paramus, New Jersey series, 141. And Mr. Jouglard is flirting with that right now. Schroeder moving in on the right. He's on 3. Very deep inside, throwing over the 3rd diamond. He's right over it. And he didn't give it enough lift. The 2 and the 5, the 2 with the wiggle and the wobble, the pin lying between the 2, and Schroeder has stopped at 3. Now, your reference to getting his fingers into the ball and doing something with the fingers, certainly it was apparent there, Earl, that just did not happen.
Well, he spun the ball that time. He came around the side of the ball too much, and that made it slide too long.
Slightly on top of it, as
right,
they say.
Right.
2-5.
Watch out.
Look out. He didn't get much of that. Well, Schroeder got away with that one. He converted the 1-2-10 in the 2nd frame. Got himself in great shape here for the $1,000. Has himself about a 50-pin lead. We're going into the 8th frame of the first game of 3. Championship Bowling, television's #1 bowling show, where you see 2 of these great stars in action every week. We are in Parkersburg, West Virginia, at the Emerson Lanes. Big turn. He doesn't get there again, the 2-4-5. Jimmy has 4 brothers, all in the baking business in Buffalo, New York. Jimmy actually had a great future in the baking business, but he prefers the professional bowler route, and he's been holding his own over the years. The cover, the 2-4-5. Jimmy wanted to be an electrical engineer when he was going to school in Buffalo at the Seneca Falls High School. Here's Jouglard now with 99 in the 7th. Still looking for his first strike. Could be. Lee is thanking the Parkersburg, West Virginia folks here who are here again this week. Trying for 2. He dropped it. He dropped it. It'll never make it the 2-4-5. So Lee's 219 average on championship bowling is going to take a sudden jolt here. He still doesn't have that 141 topped yet, Earl. He better cover this spare.
In the first part of the game, he wasn't getting out of the thumb hole, and now he went and dropped the ball.
2-4-5. Nice stuff. So Jimmy Schroeder moving in on the right has lost his chance for any bonus money. There's only room for 4 more strikes this game.
Jimmy didn't quite get there in the 7th frame on the triple. Let's see what he does in the 9th. And you get there with that one. He got there too good. Come on, a little more. The 7-pin gets a little nudge, but not enough. So Schroeder with a slight overcorrection. These bowlers never forget what they do from one time to the next on the previous lane. Of course, all competition that is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress must be cross lane. And this is just a little more difficult than bowling on one lane. Hurry up. Being the great pro that you are, Earl, this is quite true, isn't it? You just never forget your previous shot on the lane when you come back to it.
That's right, but the trouble is sometimes you overcorrect and get in trouble the other way. Go in the nose if you were light the time before.
You think it's better to forget what you did the previous time, or do you...
No.
You got to remember.
Right, that's
Can't
for
keep
sure.
making the same mistake every time.
No.
Well,
spun the ball.
Mr. Schroeder's getting out on top of it. It's quite obvious here from where we sit. That was a spinner that just wouldn't move, and he has the 2-4-5 again. Jimmy has now lost 14 pins in count through 9 frames with a triple and no opens for 9 frames. The best he can get is 206 if he converts this one. Hurry up. Well, he didn't get there on the spare, so Schroeder is open. His first open in the 10th for 195. So Jouglard, with all of his problems, not too far back. If he can pick up a double here in the 10th, he can still get out of here with 160. The 4-7 on a pretty good hit. That 2-pin went right around the 4-7. You know, from disaster relief activities to blood donations to first aid, your Red Cross is always there. Make a contribution to the Red Cross. Better yet, donate your services to this fine organization. The 4-7. Well, he didn't make any mistakes on that one. Lee shot at the 4-7 in the 5th frame and just didn't get up to either pin. This time, he just threw right at it. So in the 10th, the count 157. Well, there's about the same hit. This time he kicks the 7 out, the 4-pin stab. So for Lee Jouglard, it's 156. For Jimmy Schroeder, 195. 2 games to follow. Anything can happen. This is Fred Wolf on Championship Bowling along with Earl Johnson. We'll be back for the second game in just a short span of time.
Here are the scores for the first game. Lee Jouglard getting off a little slowly, 156. Jimmy Schroeder with 195. Schroeder out in front by 39 pins. 2 games to go, and I just want to check with the boys. You do know about the $250 bonus for 5 in a row? They did tell you before we started. All right, now that you know it officially, let's get going. You ready, Parkersburg? A little encouragement here. Come on.
Jimmy Schroeder, Buffalo, New York, a lead of 39 pins, starting the second game of 3 on Championship Bowling. Throws, shooting Jimmy Cherry. Schroeder really barreling that one in there. Jimmy picked up a triple in the first game. Jouglard has had only 1 strike. 3 opens in the first game. Lost 2 or 3 good hits, unable to get started. Up short, a 3-stepper. The turn, the set, he's there. Yeah. Think possibly the boys have shaken off the first game jitters, Earl?
I sure hope so. 156, that just beat Aspen by 15 pins.
That's right. I suppose Harold, sitting back there, way out there in California, watching this show, would like to get out of that 141 part of the record book. For 2? How about that? Well, Jouglard reaching out there beautifully, off with a double. That's his first double. That's his 3rd strike. So if Lee can keep going, he may want to throw out the first game, which of course cannot happen. Schroeder moving in on the right. He's on a strike. He'll have to get this one to keep the 39-pin advantage he has. $1,000 to the winner. $500 to the runner-up. The big turn too high. Wide open, the big four. And Jouglard has now picked up at least 18 pins. Probably go to 22 to 24 with this one. A big four. Schroeder, the best he can be is 18-26. Jouglard could be 60. He could pick up 34 pins and 2 frames with another strike. Schroeder takes the 2. Jimmy Schroeder, Buffalo, New York. He broke a record also by opening in the 10th frame in that he had never been under 200 on championship bowling. His low game was 203. He had a 218 average coming into Parkersburg. Jimmy to the left. Gotta hurry. There's another washout, the 1-2-4-10. As Earl Johnson pointed out earlier, it's quite obvious here that Jimmy is getting out on top of that ball, isn't he?
That's right. That ball he did in the frame before, when he got the big four, he came straight from behind the ball and pointed the ball. The ball just held right into the nose.
What is the big reason for topping the ball, Earl? Let's watch this shot. Come on, hurry up. Hey, nice work. Well, Schroeder's got a pretty good line on that shot. That's the second 1-2-10 he turned in. Jouglard now moving way up. 3 steps. This is the way he learned to bowl some years ago, back in 1841 to be exact. Will it be 3? Yeah. You know, this fella got started, very interesting. He started his bowling career on his 20th birthday. Some of his boyfriends threw a little birthday party for him. So they sort of all decided, let's go bowling. So Lee hop-skipped and jumped to a 99 his first game. 15 years later, on his 35th birthday, he rolled a 300 game just like that. And that 300 game that Jouglard bowled on his 35th birthday was seen by thousands of people on television in Chicago. He has the first 4, and this is not the same Jouglard we looked at in the first game. Schroeder on the right. Jimmy has already lost that 39-pin advantage he had, and it didn't take long. Set it. 4-pin. So it's interesting. If you're a few pins behind in a match, don't give up, because 39 pins looked like quite a few. Well, Mr. Jouglard had 34 of those 39 back in the second frame. Actually, Jouglard is now 45 pins out in front in 3 frames. So he has the lead. He leads by 6 pins. In the 4th, Schroeder covers. Jimmy moves left. Jimmy can remember a 300 game, too, back on December 18th and 58th. First 300 game of his career in St. Louis. We'll take a good look here, Earl, see if he tops this one. What's the comment on that, Earl?
Well, he made sure he didn't top it, and just came from right behind the ball and pointed the ball right at the nose. Never gave it any room at all.
Now, what is the when you say topping the ball, how does this happen? Obviously, your hand is out of position when you get...
Well, usually your thumb is coming out of the ball too fast, like you're dropping the ball, so then you pull it across.
The 3-pin he covers. Of course, we sit back here, Earl, week after week, and it's very obvious to us that usually when the boy tops the ball, he is starting to turn the ball before he delivers it. That's how his hand gets in that position.
Right, yeah. You go to the foul line too fast, and you're up there way ahead of the ball.
Here we go. $250 bonus. 4-7. Too tight. Lee Jouglard starting with 4, trying to knock on the door. for the $250 bonus, good for 5 strikes in a row in any one game and $50 a strike thereafter. And we are halfway in this match, 5th frame of the second game. Jouglard, who was some 50 pins behind his opponent in the 8th frame of the first game, now has taken the lead at the end of 5 in game number 2. For Jouglard, it's 108 spare. Schroeder, 64 spare. Jouglard in the 6th, sets this one. He's right back in there. Well, just a little tight on the right side. Would you say, Earl, that possibly that
He slowed up.
bonus situation had a little something to do with a little pinching there?
It might have, because he slowed up a little bit on that ball, and it came in just a little fraction too high.
Tried to fit it in, as they say. We're in the 6th for Schroeder. He trails by 44 pins. Overall, he trails by 5. There's a good look. So that's the story with 4 frames to go in the second game. Lee Jouglard out in front, the margin 5 pins. Both boys on strikes. That's got to hurry. Well, he almost made it. The 5-7, he kicked the 5 out, nothing but the 7 pin. You're looking at Jimmy Schroeder from Buffalo, New York. At the 7, he covers. For Schroeder, 104. With a spare in the 7th, as Lee Jouglard, working on a strike, moves in the 7th with a chance to take a commanding lead. Too high. Jouglard unable to do anything with his strike in the 6th. The margin still 4 pins. Jouglard out in front, 44 pins, the margin 5 pins. We'll give him another one. A lead of 44 pins here in the second game. He trailed by 39 going in. We're in the 7th, the 6 pin covered. Jouglard moves to the left. Lee Jouglard, a great instructor, has conducted many clinics for the AMF people from coast to coast. On previous series, we introduced him as the bowling professor of championship bowling. Has appeared in many movie shorts for RKO and Paramount. There's the 10 pin. Jouglard in that pocket pretty good. He's only had a couple out of there, a little high. Started with 4, was a little tight for the bonus shot, leaving the 4-7. Came back with 1 in the 6th, too high in the 7th, and a 10 pin here in the 8th. So Jimmy Schroeder, who got off to a pretty good lead, leading by 50 pins at the end of the 8th frame of the first game, finally won the game by 39 when he was open in the 10th, has converted the 1-2-10 twice. He's working on a spare. Nope. 4-6. Boy, you hit them there. You're going to get the 4. You're going to get the 4 or the 6, or actually get them both, as we've seen quite a few times here on championship bowling at the Emerson Lanes in Parkersburg, West Virginia. He gave that one a little jerk at the bottom, didn't he, Earl?
Right, he got too much lift.
He takes 1. So Jouglard now out in front for the $1,000. Over $75,000 in prizes. Championship Bowling, television's #1 bowling show. You see 2 of the great ones every week. Schroeder moves to the left. We're in the 9th. Second game, big reach. High again, breaks it up, nothing but the 6. 3:31 in the 8th. He has the spare in the 9th, and Jouglard leads in this game by 56 pins. The margin around 17 pins. That looks good. There it is. So Jouglard has straightened himself out beautifully after the 156 start. Started the second game with 4. He's only been out of there actually once. The 4-7 was just a bit tight. He left a 6-pin on a nose hit. Moves left now with a chance to finish with 4 and 247. He can better that first game by 91 pins. He'll never make it. Well, he kicked out the tough ones. He has the 1-2. Didn't get out of that one at all, did he?
He pulled up at the line and really dropped it.
That's been brought out a few times here by you fellas as you sit in with us that I think a lot of bowlers overlook. You raise that head just as you deliver. This is bad, isn't it?
Right, just like golf.
You got to stay down on it, as they say. I guess when you hit a golf ball, use the same phrase. Didn't stay down on it. Didn't stay with it.
That's for sure.
Lee's a pretty fair golfer. We've played a few rounds with him when he was in Detroit back in the early 50s, late 50s. The count for 227. He gets 7 for 224. 224. And that's quite an improvement. Almost 70 pins over the first game. Jouglard is out in front. Schroeder in the 10th, a chance to pick up 10 pins with a double. There's the action. Jimmy Schroeder doing a little swinging with that one and getting a lot of action down there as those AMF tournament grade pins go flying. Both these boys using the Am-Flight Magic Line bowling ball. A chance for 181. This strike here would make this thing very close. Well, he had the deep angle, but he really gave that one a turn, Earl, didn't he?
That's right. He only gave one ball room out of the last 4, and the rest he pointed right at the nose. Playing the alley's too tight.
Well, he left the 245 2 or 3 times earlier, and of course he's probably thinking a big short. Well, at the end of 2 for Schroeder, it's 171. For Lee Jouglard, 224. The big game to follow. $1,000 goes to the winner. From Parkersburg, West Virginia, on Championship Bowling, this is Fred Wolf. Along with Earl Johnson, we'll be back for the big game in just a moment.
Here are the scores at the end of 2 games. Lee Jouglard, 156. Came back beautifully this game with a 224. The total is 380. For Jimmy Schroeder, 195. And 171, the total 366. The margin only 14 pins. 1 game to go. $1,000 hangs in the balance. Are we all ready, Parkersburg?
Lee Jouglard will start off the 3rd and final game here on Championship Bowling from Parkersburg, West Virginia. Television's #1 bowling show. 2 great stars in action. 14 pins, the difference. Jouglard out in front. On the nose, he has the 6-7, and this match ought to be just about even in another frame. Jouglard in the 6-7. He had that split in the 3rd frame of the first game on this very same lane, the left side. The bowler of the year in 1951. He won the ABC All Events. He won the ABC Masters title. He won the ABC Singles. Come on there. Nice try. Well, he gave it a good try. He certainly didn't miss that by very much. But he counts 8. Schroeder with a double here could take the lead back. Jimmy had a 50-pin lead in the 8th frame of the first game. And he lost it all in the first 2 frames of the second game. Schroeder with the turn. Gets it out of there. So Jimmy has already picked up 12 of the 14 pins if he can cover the spare here. A strike, of course. would give him a potential 30 in the first frame. He could pick up 22 pins. It'll give him an 8-pin margin with 8 frames to go. Another close one. Both these boys will return having another match with a different opponent. Total pinfall for the 2 appearances or 6 games will qualify our 2 finalists with a $15,000 added purse. Schroeder on a strike. Hey, got that one out. Yes, sir. Well, you can sure tell a lot, can't you, Earl? Actually, the minute the ball is released, you can see the bowler in position. You see the ball thrown out on the lane, and the result is quite obvious.
Right. He really reached out on both those strikes.
Jouglard up short. 3 steps. High again. 3-10 this time. They call it the baby split. Speaking of this 3-stepper here, Lee Jouglard, how many pro bowlers do we have left in the game, Earl, that take the 3 steps?
I think he's the only one. I really don't know of any others.
3-10. Ball between the 2 pins. Nice shot. Well, Lee started the bowl with 3 steps back in 1941. I know that he has tried 4. He has tried 5. He teaches 4, actually, in his clinics. But Lee says he just can't get used to 4. Had he started the bowl correctly, said he didn't know any better when he started. He has just had to continue with the 3. He's high again. This time breaks up the 6-7. Nothing but the 6-pin. So Jimmy Schroeder back out in front now. Gave Jouglard a lot of room in the second game with a 171, and Lee took advantage to take the lead by 14 pins after trailing by 39 at the end of the first game. Jimmy now back out in front. There's the cover. A spare to Jouglard in the third. So Jimmy moves in on the right side. 5 in a row, $250. Every strike on top of 5 worth 50 more additional dollars. Jimmy, I believe, more concerned with that $1,000 to beat his opponent, be it 1 pin or 100. Good lift. Number 3. So Jimmy now piles them on here as we go into the 4th frame. He's picked up 33 pins in 2 frames. He now leads by 19 pins. He's on a strike in the 3rd. Jouglard on the spare. You think he can keep this thing going, Earl?
3 pretty strikes. See him all the way. Keeps reaching out there. He'll be all right. It's away.
There it is.
Oh, look at that boy work.
Schroeder down on both knees for number 4. Well, this is Schroeder will try for number 5 on the right side. After Jouglard takes his 2 regular turns on the lanes, he set that one beautifully. And he's there. So it looks like another big finish. Could be a close one. Jouglard not out of this thing yet, although he better get this one. He's on a strike, his first strike of the final game. Game number 3, 47, strike in the 4th. Still can get out of here with 257. You can do it with a pencil. You can do it with a bowling ball. That's the way I put it. Come on, Lee. Once more. Oh, solid 10. You can't hit him any better than that. And that's going to hurt Mr. Jouglard when the final tally is posted. Back in 1959, when Lee was a Detroiter, he was a commentator on his own television show in Chicago. He used to commute back and forth, doing a great job. There it is. Got it. Well, Lee was a little in doubt on that one, and now all eyes are on Jimmy Schroeder, the Buffalo star, former Buffalo match game champion, on 4 strikes, going for the bonus money of $250 on the right side, his toughest side. How about this one? That's the first 5. We can forget the bonus money now. Let's do a little dreaming. He only needs 7 more. Certified by Jimmy Hoffman here, the secretary of the Parkersburg Bowling Association. Brand new pins, AMF tournament grade pins. The lanes have been reconditioned. He has 5. $250, $50 for this one. No, yes! Well, we are now halfway. Oh, you'll never see a strike like that again as long as you live, Earl.
No, that was, you don't get, once in a year maybe you might get a break like that. That's especially at after 5 in a row.
They say you've got to have a lucky one along the line. There's a well, that solid 10-pin by Jouglard in the 5th is going to hurt Lee, of course. However, with his opponent now going for 6 with only 6 more to go, and as we just mentioned, normally you got to have one little lucky kick along the line if you want to go the full route.
And what a spot.
What a spot. All right, Jouglard again. Well, I'm sure Jouglard would have certainly liked that 10-pin in the 5th. Jimmy Schroeder moving in again on the right. He has the first 6. Come on, boy. Set it. $350 for Mr. Schroeder. The first 7 in a row. Here's Jim Schroeder, Buffalo, New York. The first 7 in a row. Will it be 8? Never. Well, the 1, 2, 4. Quite obvious, I would say, Earl, after hitting the nose and getting away with the strike that he got away with in the 6th frame, obviously on his mind.
Like I said before, over-adjusted.
Over-adjusted. Of course, it's always interesting. Why adjust when you get a strike?
Through the nose. Bad spot.
1, 2, 4, and the cover. Well, Jimmy's still pulling himself a total out of here. 197 in the 7th. He's still got a potential 270 game, which could check him in with a real fine 3-game series. And in his next appearance, if he can put together a couple of 7-baggers, just could be one of the finalists. Jouglard in the 8th, don't count him out. Until now, he has the 6, 7, 10. Too tight, too high, and Jouglard has himself a pretty tough shot. The AMF Spearmaker indicates put the ball between the 6 and the 10, but don't get too much of the 6. Like this. Ooh, great try. Jouglard is known in the game, I'm sure, Earl, that you'll agree, is one of the real great split shooters, if there's such a thing as a split shooter. This guy can convert a lot of splits. He's got a good eye.
Right, because he throws a real good line ball, and he doesn't throw that big hook.
He shot at the 6-7 twice, and there was a 6-7-10, and he just breezed past the 6-pin every time. There's the good mixer. So Jouglard is back in the running with a strike in the 9th. 140 in the 8th, strike in the 9th. Be careful. 6-7 again. Well, there's always the big letdown after you end a string. There's no doubt about that. Many times there's a letdown if you're on a string and lose a good hit. It's pretty hard to come back, isn't it, Earl?
That's right. You lose one of those solid 8s or solid 7s. But I think he's pretty happy.
Schroeder getting the 1, settling now for 224 in the 9th. 224. But it looks like Schroeder has enough for $1,000. $350 bonus money. Four pin stops him. you may not realize it, but one of the most popular ways to join a bowling team or a bowling league is through the company where you work. Many companies and plants have their own leagues. It's an excellent way to get together socially with your fellow employees and also informally sometimes with the company executives. The spare by Schroeder in the 10th, the count, 244. You ought to check with the boys you work with. There just may be a bowling league meeting every week, and you might not even know about it. Or if your little office or little plant doesn't have a bowling league, why not start one? Get to know the fellow you work with just a little better. Makes your job much more easier. In the 10th, for the count, 241. Jim Schroeder, who started the final game with 7 strikes in a row, the first 5 worth $250, the 6th and 7th worth another $100, $350 in bonus money. Lee Jouglard in the 10th, he is on a strike. He does not get the 610 out of there. The 610 covered. The count will be 180. Lee Jouglard, the final ball here in the 10th frame of this match. Jimmy Schroeder, the winner. Jouglard again high, counts 9 for 179. We'll check these totals, make them official, have a word or two from these two fine stars, and thanks to Earl Johnson from Minneapolis, a great professional sitting in with us this week. This is Fred Wolf. We'll be back in just a minute with a word from these two boys right after this message.
Here are the official scores for Lee Jouglard: 156, 224, 179 finished. The total is 559. For Jimmy Schroeder, 195, 171. Started his last game with 7 in a row. The total 241. His 3-game total 607. The winner, Jimmy Schroeder. Did you enjoy that last game? Lee, as the runner-up, $500. You can take that back to California.
Thank you very much, Bill.
And for you, Jim, $350 in bonus money.
Beautiful.
How about that 8th ball? It get a little heavy for you?
Not really. I just tried to change a little. I threw the 1 in the 5th frame, or the 6th frame. Was it the 5th frame on the nose? And I tried to correct my stroke, and I overcorrected.
Earl Johnson and I were talking about that. I commented. I said, well, he got a strike. What did he want to adjust for? I mean, they say on the scoreboard it's pretty good. But I realized you must have been a little embarrassed with that nose.
Not really embarrassed, but I was quite happy with it. But I figured I couldn't get away with it again.
I would. You think he could get away with 2 of those in one game?
Possibly on his birthday.
On his birthday. Well, it could happen. Here's your $1,000 as winning the 3-game match. And speaking of birthdays, I did mention up there, Lee, that on your 35th birthday on television, you rolled a 300 score in Chicago.
Yes, I did. I was real fortunate.
You'll never forget that. And birthdays play an important part in your career, having started you started bowling on your birthday.
Yes, I did.
So let's do something on your next birthday.
Can't wait that long.
All right. We'll be expecting both you boys on your next appearance to do a little better than you did this time. Want to wish you both a lot of luck. Parkersburg, how about it? 2 fine balls. Jim Schroeder, Lee Jouglard. Repeat the winner, Jim Schroeder from Buffalo, New York, 607 over Lee Jouglard from Los Angeles with 559. Sure hope you can join us again next week when Championship Bowling, television's #1 bowling show with over $75,000 in prizes, will originate here at the beautiful Emerson Lanes in Parkersburg, West Virginia, right in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Until then, this is Fred Wolf saying, keep 'em bowling out there. Championship Bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us to produce Championship Bowling.